Real Estate Pro? Here are 5 easy, simple hacks to double both your listings and your sales inside of just 12 months by Norm MacLeod. Introduction. I'm originally from Scotland, as you can tell by the accent, and we've lived in Spain since 1988. Right off the bat, as you're probably aware, we Scots are notoriously mean, tight-fisted, and careful with a penny. Scrooges. So here's something that will surprise you, nay, shock you to your very core. No matter what you paid for this book, no matter where you bought it, no matter whether you read it or action anything inside it, whether you print it, send it to a friend, share it, or whatever, if in 365 days from now you haven't increased your real estate business by 100%, send me an email to my personal address, which is norm@selmorealestate.com, and ask for your money back. That's right, a Scotsman is offering to refund all your dough anytime in the next 12 months. A 100% no risk, unconditional, no quibble, money back guarantee. No questions asked. Excuse me, I have to lie down for a minute, I'm feeling faint. Now, let me take a moment to explain something important. It's 2017, the 21st century. You probably noticed. Just about everything we do or experience is automated or served up to us with chips or by chips. Not the potato kind, the computer kind. It kind of makes you wonder how the heck we ever survived before we had smartphones, don't you think? Yet we did, and get this. Before we had computers, before we had cell phones, and before we had the interwebs, we real estate people listed and sold real estate just the same. I want to tell you a little bit about myself so you'll understand where I made my bones in the real estate business, and I'll try to keep it short. I started my selling career in Scotland in 1975 when I quit my 9 till 5 in an insurance broker's office and enlisted in a band of renegade, mercenary, door-to-door life assurance salespeople. We'd head out valiantly every Monday till Friday around 5 p.m, and from 6 until 9 we'd knock on doors of apartments in some of the not so desirable areas of Edinburgh selling life assurance policies. Not the easiest of sells, as life assurance actually means death assurance. Anyway, this went on for about a year, and as usual, as this was a commission-only job, the difficulties involved in actually getting paid at the end of the month kinda took the shine off travelling to work in the manager's tiny Nissan, especially in the Scottish winters, with all the windows closed and all the other 4 occupants puffing away on cigarettes, competing to see who could get terminal cancer first. No, I didn't smoke, so if I die from a lung infection, guess who'll be to blame? I became fixated on sales and read everything I could about selling in general and about human relations in particular. My all-time favourite was, and still is, How to Win Friends and Influence People, written in 1934, would you believe, by a guy called Dale Carnegie. I recently reread it for the umpteenth time, and I'll tell you, it's every bit as valid today as it was back in 1934, when the stock market was nowhere near recovering from the Wall Street crash of 1928. If you haven't read it, shame on you. You can still buy it, and honestly, it's so worth it. For the next 5 or so years, I was in and out of sales jobs like the proverbial fiddler's elbow, till in 1981, I saw a tiny office for rent in my hometown of Bathgate, which is about 20 miles from Edinburgh. I duly signed the lease and formed Grays Hall Real Estate Limited as a callow youth of 28. You're counting your fingers to work out how old I am, ain't ya? By the way, if you're listening to this in the USA, a limited company is basically the same or similar to an LLC. My office was big enough for one small desk, which was fine, as there were no computers, a chair, a filing cabinet, and the window was filled with simple window cards with a real photo from a real camera and the description written below in biro. Impossible, you're thinking. Well, guess what? I still sold properties. Not huge, expensive properties, I should add. The area wasn't home to grand houses, and the commission rate in Scotland back then was a measly 1.5%, so I was not earning a fortune. Don't shoot me, I'm just a piano player. However, my hobby was, still is, music, and I used to play organ, keyboards and sing on the weekends in restaurants and bars. This involved quite a lot of travelling, so my Fridays, Saturdays and Sundays saw me driving maybe an hour and a half to gigs, usually in foul weather. However, it paid very well and added to the household income handsomely. We went on holiday every year to the Spanish island of Mallorca, which lies in the Mediterranean about 100 miles east of Barcelona. If you haven't heard of it, it's about the same size and the same vibe as Hawaii. We loved it there. Where we lived in Scotland, we had a view down over the River Forth. That's the one with the iconic Forth Bridge. And I distinctly remember one day in February saying to my wife, "Have you seen the river today?" She looked out. "No, I can't see it for the rain," she said. "Neither have I," said I. "In fact, we haven't seen it for 6 weeks." I looked at Fiona. "You know, we could be living in Mallorca. There's plenty of work for musicians and there's lots and lots of real estate." Another 6 weeks later, I was playing in a Spanish restaurant every night and we were spending our days on the beach with the kids. By 2000, we had a huge real estate office, and during the local boom from 2000 till 2007, we were by far the top-selling independent agency on the island. Now, this was at a time when everybody was going online big time and automating both their listing and sales systems. I took a look around and decided that as everybody else was zigging, we should be zagging. So while we had a really strong online presence, I made the conscious decision that we would avoid total automation and retain old-school face-to-face comms with both our listing clients and buying clients. And boy, did it pay off. One time I wrote a physical 2-page letter and posted it, yes, in the mail in an envelope with a handwritten address, to about 600 clients in our database. Result? 11 sales in 1 week. Average price €390,000 or dollars, about the same value in 2017. Total sales were 4.2 million, and the commission to us, because we weren't sharing, was 257,000. That's 257,000 bucks in a week. But wait a minute, there's more to tell. Something I've noticed since the big change from personal contacts to internet and tech, our image to the general public as real estate salespeople has nosedived like the sales of Donald Trump ball caps in North Korea. People used to rate us up there with the local mayor, the local bank manager, the local holy man, the local chief of police. And now they rate real estate salesperson about as highly as the local drunk, the local meth pusher, or doggy doo-doo on your shoes. And this is, in general, worldwide. Well, okay, maybe not in North Korea. There are a few real estate pros who don't get rated that way. And one thing they all share in common, and believe me, I have studied this carefully, is that they don't depend on emails, phones, or computers. They're old school, face-to-face, people persons, and let me assure you, they are highly rated as professionals and highly rated as valued members of society. And I know this because I'm one of them. Bragging? Nope, it's just the truth. In all the years I've practiced, I have never had flack like I'm seeing the vast majority of today's real estate pros having to take on an everyday basis. Now, my reason for writing this wee book, I'm a Scotsman, remember, is that it's so easy to change the way that your clients will perceive you. It causes me actual pain to think of, especially younger people coming into our industry and having to struggle against such a negative image. That's why you'll find very, very little in this wee book about the internet, email, CRM systems, or even the good old landline. This is all about changing the way you think, changing the way you act, and changing the way that others will see you. And let me let you into a secret. It's just not that difficult. From Scotland to Spain to St. Petersburg to Salt Lake City, people do not have a high opinion of us or of our profession. Which is odd, as most of the real estate people I know are okay people. However, here's a shocker for you. In a 2015 survey in the UK entitled Veracity Index 2015, All Professions Overview, and by the way, veracity means trustworthiness. Under percentage trust to tell the truth, estate agents were beaten to the bottom only by government ministers and politicians generally. In the USA, it's even worse. In a December 2016 Gallup survey entitled Americans' Ratings of Honesty and Ethical Standards in Professions, when members of the public were asked which professionals they deemed the most to least trustworthy, nurses, unsurprisingly, ranked number one with a well-deserved veracity or honesty rating of 84%. Where did we come as real estate salespeople? We ranked so low beneath members of Congress and car salespeople that we didn't even get a percentage rating. And the lowest rating was 8%. Wow. Now, although I'm less active in the business these days, this is something I never experienced. Why? Because I'm such a nice guy? Because I'm such a great agent? Or maybe because I'm a Scotsman in a kilt? No is the answer to all of these. I never got this kind of negative feedback because of a few very, very simple things that I did on a daily basis that made me stand out from the others. And look, I have to admit that in our profession, there can be an unacceptably high percentage of real estate salespeople that I wouldn't want to stand toe-to-toe at a bar with sharing a beer. So, logically, with internet sites costing next to nothing to A. set up and B. advertise on, advertising in glossy magazines should be cheaper, right? You'll already know that that's not the case at all. A right-hand page in full colour can cost $35,000 and more, and it's very hit and miss. But hey, you're a real estate pro, you already know that, right? Doom, gloom and disaster. So we've got massive competition, FSBO sites, consumer blindness to internet sites and ads, expensive and ineffective advertising, extreme distrust of us as professionals. How can anybody make even a half-decent living in the real estate game these days? There are a lot of people, just like you and me, making extremely big paychecks in the real estate game right now. Let's assume, for just a minute, that in 12 months from now, you could not only double the number of listings on your books, but double the sales you made in the last 12 months. I'm revealing just 5 strategies, 5 hacks in this document, any one of which is easily capable of achieving those targets. Nothing held back, and believe me when I say I know a lot about this. I've been in the game since 1981. And yes, there are realtors and agents out there who are earning way more than ever before and spending less time in the office rather than more. Now, today. But how? No matter where your office is located, whether you don't even have a physical office, if you're an online only, no matter how many other agents there are in your area, even if there are thousands of FSBO signs out there, and by the way, I love it when I see them go up in my area. It's so easy to get those people to list. You can attract both high-value buyers and magnetically draw those hard-to-get listings, and especially those stubborn, ill-informed FSBOs, using the little-known but highly effective techniques that I'll be revealing to you in this document for free. So, here's what can happen to you in just 12 months from now. Imagine if you could add just 5 new listings a week in the next 12 months or so. That would be 250 new properties on your books. Take a look at how much you earned last year and simply double it. Would that make a difference to you? To your business? To your spouse? To your family? Your kids? So maybe now you're thinking, why is this guy volunteering this information for free? Well, I no longer battle in the trenches in hand-to-hand combat to the death with other real estate agents. I did it for a long time, and yes, I did enjoy it. And I still dabble. But you know something? I found out that I actually prefer showing agents how to do it more than I enjoy doing it. I think it's the mental challenge and the invigorating enthusiasm that others have for the business that makes me want to do this. Well, consulting, I mean. But there's a problem that comes along with that. There are just too many people out there to teach. Yes, there's a whole bunch of us out there, and it would be foolish to think that I can help everybody. So instead of trying to sell my training, I decided to just put this stuff out there for you to apply on the battlefield and let you see how really effective these techniques can actually be. And maybe, just maybe, if at some point in the future you want me to help you even more, just let me know. And you know something else? I've decided that giving you just one way to double your sales isn't enough. And hey, you need fresh new listings too, right? I'm going to give you not 1, but 5 ways to double both your listings and your sales inside of 12 months. Enjoy. P.S. If you enjoy this book, and if you think we can assist you further, we offer a done-for-you, modular, video-based real estate office training system that reveals to both you and your staff just how to easily, simply, and rapidly put your office at the top of the heap as the recognized #1 real estate office in your area. In other words, we train your staff for you, from real estate newbies to hardcore seasoned professionals. And note, we're limited as to the number of real estate agents we can assist. And should you choose to request inclusion as an exclusive client in our Sell More Real Estate Inner Circle, we reserve the right to refuse your application should we already be assisting a real estate office within your area of business. But the no obligation contact is innercircle@sellmorerealestate.com. Hack number 1. Ted Danson, cheers and serving beer. Real estate sales, FSBOs and California Highway Patrol. A California highway patrolman pulls over a speeding motorist. He walks up to the window and says, "Can I see your real estate license, please?" The driver responds, "Don't you mean my driver's license?" "No," says the patrolman, "not everybody in California has one of those." Well, if you're a real estate agent, you're probably not wetting your pants right now. But it's a fact. You know that the real estate business can be very lucrative, and so the competition is on the way up. Since we mentioned California, according to FT Journal, there were 192,989 registered real estate brokers and agents in the Sunshine State in April 2017. Then there's the rise of the FSBO, FSBO, for sale by owner sites. There are thousands of for sale by owner sites online these days, and they all take a little bite out of the realtor's earnings, and sometimes a lot. If you're older, like me, you'll remember that the local realtor had a simple office with photos of his or her listings in the shop window, and on the weekend, maybe an ad in the local paper. Then the internet hit. But was it an advance as a selling tool? Well, sure it was, for a time. But in a recent survey, 82% of prospective homebuyers stated that an internet website has little or no effect on deciding which real estate office to approach. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's just a click or a tap through to view the property and often watch a video walkthrough too. So why take the chance of talking to a pushy real estate salesperson when you can click on a pixel and not get hassled? And talking about pushy, why do people not like us? Years ago, we had a sales agent in the office by the name of Kevin. He thought he was a great salesman because, as he said in his own words, he had the gift of the gab. If you're unaware of that good old Scottish-Irish expression, he was a great talker, almost non-stop in fact. But there was one major flaw in this skill. He wasn't a great salesman at all. One day, not long after he started with us, a couple came into the office and sat down at his desk. He immediately started his sales spiel. The couple initially were enthusiastic and sat upright in their chairs, especially when he spun his computer screen around and started showing them properties. As he droned on and on about the apartments and the features, the couple's enthusiasm started to wane, and from my desk I could see them slumping back in their seats, and when the man looked at his watch, I knew it was time to send in our own Navy SEALs to the rescue. Me, in other words. I casually walked over to his desk, hands in pockets, and salvaged the poor folks' rapidly flagging enthusiasm from Kevin and his constant blather. "Hello, I'm Norm, how are you?" I shook both their hands. It was clear they were relieved at my intervention. "Where are you from?" I asked. They both immediately straightened up in their chairs and the conversation began. "Will we have a coffee?" I offered. "Kevin knows how to work the machine better than I do," I said, raising my eyebrows to the sales agent and indicating he move his butt to the kitchen. STFU. I pulled up a chair between them and started asking them about their hometown, their jobs, their families, their kids. Always talk about your prospects' kids. That's a biggie. Anything but the real estate listings that we had on offer. I managed to rebuild the client's enthusiasm within about 20 minutes, and it resulted in the sale of a small, relatively inexpensive apartment. But did Kevin mend his ways? Nope. I tried explaining that God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, to listen twice as much as you talk. I tried everything. As his desk was across the main office from mine, then anyone who sat at his desk had their backs to me. One time, Kevin was still rambling on, so much so that in frustration I grabbed a marker pen and scrawled the letters STFU on a sheet of scrap paper and held it up where he could see it, but the clients could not. And he did STFU for about 57 seconds. By the way, STFU means shut the bleep up. Sorry. Anyway, in the longer term, it didn't actually work, and we parted ways. Talking murder with strangers. Now, here's the odd thing about this, and it'll take a psychologist, whom I am not, to answer. People open up to strangers. Assuming you're old enough, you might remember one of the best sitcoms of the 80s, Cheers, with Ted Danson. Now, anyone who's ever worked as a bartender, barkeep, call it what you will, whatever you call the guy or gal who serves the beers, customers in bars, especially the ones who sit alone at the bar, tell the server on the other side of the bar stuff they'll almost certainly never tell another living soul. Example, many years ago, back in the 70s, I was that barman, and I remember a really nice guy from Belfast in Northern Ireland sitting and telling me that he'd served time in jail for murder. Holy crap! I kept an eye on him after that, let me tell you. Turned out that he'd been in the terrorist group, the Irish Republican Army, the IRA, and he'd shot somebody. I didn't ask who, that was enough for me. And you can imagine I steered the conversations in other directions after that. You're thinking, what has this got to do with selling properties? Well, way more than you think. Let me explain how this simple tip can really help your sales. How I turned a $500,000 sale into a $10.6 million sale. This is one of my best stories, by the way. Was it by pure luck? Well, I remember the famous story told by the legendary golfer Gary Player, and these are his words. I was practicing in a bunker down in Texas, and this good old boy with a big hat stopped to watch. The first shot he saw me hit went in the hole. He said, "You got $50 if you knock the next one in." I hold the next one. Then he says, "You got $100 if you hold the next one." And it went for 3 in a row. As he peeled off the bills, he said, "Boy, I've never seen anyone so lucky in all my life." And I shot back, "Well, the harder I practice, the luckier I get." So my story may or may not be because I practiced. And right up front, this is not a typical result at all. The fact is that I was inordinately fortunate to do this, and the case study I'm putting down for you is highly unlikely to happen, and no amount of training could ever make it happen. But it did happen because I asked my client questions and listened to his answers. One day, a couple came into my office. It was summer, and they'd just bought a motor yacht, so they wanted to buy a small apartment on the local marina where they'd be close to the boat. They had a modest budget of about $250,000. I was in Spain, where we use euros, but it's about the same value as US dollars at the time of writing, 2017. Now, this wasn't really enough for what they wanted. About half, actually. Anyway, I showed them a small apartment near-ish the marina, but it was north-facing, dark, and needing reform. They didn't like it. I took them to another property nowhere near the marina. Not even a distant view of the marina. They loved it, bought it. 12 grand for me. Cool. About 2 years later, they came back and said that they now wanted to buy a villa. Budget, $500,000. I told them it was possible, but that it wouldn't be much of a villa in the exclusive neighbourhood where they were looking to buy. On the way to the property, using my one mouth and 2 ears, I asked them just why they wanted a villa. The conversation went along the lines of, well, we're a big family and the apartment is too small. Plus, this is a stopgap, because in about 2 years, I'll be floating my company on the stock exchange, and I'll have enough money then to buy my dream home. So, we looked at the villa. It was a bit of a dump, a doer-upper, and he wasn't at all impressed. I said, let's take a look at another one. We walked into a beautiful, modern, contemporary, minimalist villa with tropical gardens, pool, the whole enchilada. His jaw dropped. "This is 500,000, he squeaked. No, it's 2.8 million, replied I. He looked at me with suspicion and just a hint of anger. "Are you taking the mickey?" I said, "No. Do you like this?" "Yeah, but," he said. "Okay, back in the car," I told him. We drove less than a mile down the road to a vacant lot covered in trees. It was so overgrown we couldn't see a thing apart from the trees. "See that?" I said. He was kind of nonplussed. "Yeah." "That lot is for sale for 600,000. I know he'll accept less. Buy that now, leave it for 2 years, and then build your dream villa there." "I don't get it," he said. "Look, you told me that your intention is to buy your dream villa when you sell your company in 2 years." "Yes." "Well, why not buy this, keep the little apartment, and when you sell your company, I'll get your dream villa built to your exact specifications, and you won't have to buy that crappy dump we just looked at, do it up, and then sell it." He looked at me. "That's a great idea." A month later, I was cashing his check for 26,000. But how did I turn the sale into 10.6 million? Well, he sold his company for a lot of money, and I mean a lot. In 2013, he spent 6.3 million on the first phase of one of the most amazing properties you've ever seen. And as I write this, we're currently spending another 3.8 million on phase 2. Guess who gets the commission on all those deals? Moi. Listen, let the client do the talking. Just you, STFU. Hack number 2. How to get yourself recognized as the number one agent in your area. This might surprise you, but this is easier to do nowadays than ever before. And although it won't happen overnight, this is very doable inside of 12 months, and this will definitely increase both your listings and your sales. You already know that there are a lot of people out there now opening offices, listing properties, and selling real estate. Some of them are highly qualified, and many are not. This may come as a surprise. Your prospective clients really don't give a damn. They want to buy or they want to sell. End of story. The best real estate agent will not be the best or the least qualified. It will be the agent who gets them the results they want. So how do you present yourself as being the best real estate agent when there are hundreds of others out there doing the same thing? That's easy. Nowadays. 10 years ago, it was much more difficult. Establish your own TV show. People associate best with the word expert. Here's a clue. You know on TV, when the news channels roll out an expert to pad out a news report on, say, a golfer being bitten by an alligator. And I mean an expert on alligators, not on golf. These experts, especially on local TV, are considered experts because they've sent a CV to the TV station telling them that they're the local expert on alligators, or on golf, or the internet, or diapers, or real estate. And the TV channels are so constantly desperate for material, they usually give these self-proclaimed experts a chance. But now there's a new TV channel. Do you know what it is? It's the numero uno most viewed TV channel that there has ever been in the history of TV by far. Millions of viewers every minute. It's called YouTube. Way more people watch YouTube now than any TV channel. And so you don't even need to approach those 2-bit local TV stations at all. You simply get your own TV channel on YouTube and start making videos. Make the effort to get around your area and you'll be surprised how quickly you'll start to rack up subscribers, fans, and here's the thing. You will quickly become perceived as the local expert on your chosen geographical area. What will you need? Well, to start off with, a very high quality video camera, several $5,000 microphones, a fully equipped TV studio with a producer, a director, scriptwriters, floodlights, a green screen facility, a mixing and editing suite, makeup artists. Nah, I'm lying. You'll need a smartphone and an earpiece. It's simple, it's easy, and it's a whole lot of fun. But how do you do it? You start off by getting around your area and interviewing local people about the area. Go into your local restaurants and interview the owners. Same with local gyms, bars, clothing stores, even grocery shops and supermarkets. Schools, kids' sports days, churches, temples, charities. The list is literally endless. Make the videos quite short, 4 to 5 minutes, and get some business cards printed with your YouTube channel on them. You can use the standard earpiece that you get with a phone with the little inline microphone that you use when you're chatting. Remember, if you're doing an interview, when the person you're interviewing talks, hold the little mic closer to him or her than to you. And you don't need to spend any money on high-tech stuff unless you want to. One thing that's good is a lavalier or lapel microphone, like the one pictured in the book. You'll get better sound quality and you can hold it close to the interviewee to cut down on background noises. Once you've completed an interview, tell the interviewee to look at it in a couple of days and tell their friends, families and customers. In the box below the video, in your YouTube Creator Studio, you can include your bio as real estate expert for your area and your contact details. I can guarantee that people will quickly associate you as the go-to guy or gal who knows everything about the area, and they will automatically contact you with their real estate needs. It truly beats me why more people don't do this. It's all free. Hack number 3. How to get FSBO sellers to ask you to list their home in 3 minutes. Or it might take 5 minutes or 10 or 20, but it will get FSBO sellers to list with you about 80% of the time. And hey, let's eliminate for good the doom, gloom and disaster I mentioned before and take a look at old man Google for a second, shall we? In fact, let's put FSBO where it should be, down the toilet. Pardon my straight talking. If you've ever been worried about FSBO sites, then don't be. Sellers are dubious about them. Very dubious. As I'm writing this, it's 2017. Look at these Google results, will you? By the way, these can vary a lot, but this is what I got on 22nd of August 2017. Let's think of somebody wondering whether to FSBO or contract you. She's been doing a little online research. Now, what might she type into her Google search bar? Maybe FSBO versus real estate agent. Well, that gets about 520,000 results, says Google. And that's per month, incidentally. Look what happens when she types in FSBO versus realtor. Wow, 1.7 million people a month are asking the same question. Or maybe, just maybe, she chooses the words FSBO or real estate agent. Brace yourself, my friend. 2,530,000. Add up just those 3 results. That's more than 4,700,000 prospects every single month asking themselves the same question. Should I list my home on one of those for sale by owner sites, or should I contact a proper real estate agent? At this point, and excuse me for being candid, you should be saying to yourself, WTF am I worrying about? And here's the thing. Those are over 4 million people who are definite prospects as listing clients with valuable, commission-laden homes that are ready to sell right now. And when they sell, what will they want to do? Buy. They're swimming around in the internet pond, hungry to bite, and they need only the right bait. Here's something else that maybe you're not aware of. The top 22% of real estate offices report little to no effect on new listings by for sale by owner sites in our areas. Let's face it, technology changes and smart people come up with new, fresh ideas, like Fizbos. But one thing that does not change is human nature. I'm based in Spain, but human nature applies from Madrid, Spain, to La Jolla, to New York, to Moscow, even to Afghanistan. Language doesn't matter, skin colour doesn't matter, the currency doesn't matter, and FSBO sites certainly don't matter. But human nature does. And Fizbo sellers are so easy to convince that they should list with you by understanding their mental mindset and how to change it easily, quickly and simply. In fact, when it came in here on my territory, the Fizbos offered us a real golden opportunity to get even more listings, which we did. How? By appealing to the human nature of the folks looking to sell their homes by Fizbo and effectively turning them around to willingly list with our office in about 77% of the sellers we targeted. In fact, it was easy peasy. So, how did we do it? I've never had a problem listing FSBOs. But then again, I only ever do them face to face, never by mail or phone. This is the way I train my people on how to do it, and their success rate is about the same. As a general rule, I would say that you're definitely capable of signing up from 6 out of 10 to 8 out of 10 of all the Fizbos you'll call on. Bear in mind that an FSBO prospect may be predisposed to being maybe a little bit hostile to an agent. I take a very different approach to everybody else. Why? Because you want to look at what all the others are doing and do something different. That's part of your USP. If they're zigging, you want to be zagging. First, instantly remove the perception of threat that you pose to the client when you knock on her door, because that's potentially invasive of his or her privacy. You'll probably already have on your website a downloadable PDF or web page about best practices for preparing your house for selling. If you don't already have something on your website, just put down, say, 10 bullet points about what home buyers expect to see and what they shouldn't see during a visit. Just a couple of pages, but this is so important. No sales pitch at all. But do remember to put your contact details on it. Also, print out a few copies and keep them in your purse or your pocket. If you're knocking on doors, don't carry a briefcase. You don't want to look like it's a business call. But do carry a notepad and pen. Knock on the door. When the homeowner answers, stand at the side of the door where the handle is. That way, they have to open the door wide to see you. They can open the door just a crack and peer through to make a judgment call and decide instantly that they don't want to talk to you. Here's the spiel. Hi, I'm your name, and I saw your sign. Right up front, I'm actually a real estate agent in the area, but don't worry, I'm not here to ask you to list your house. I fully understand why you're doing for sale by owner, but I wonder if I might ask a favour of you. This is an immediate threat removal. It's a kind of takeaway selling because you're taking away the perceived threat of the big bad wolf or the big bad real estate agent. So your prospect says, yes? Well, I've been asked to list a couple of homes in this area. Now, that can either be a truth or a lie. It's up to you, but in my opinion, it's no big deal. If you haven't been asked yet to list in that area, you probably will be. Continuing to your prospect, to be honest with you, I don't know this district very well, and I wondered if you could maybe tell me what it's like living here. It looks very nice, says you, looking around. When the homeowner starts talking, give her a few minutes, listen intently, then, wow, that's great information. Can I take a few notes? Now, listen to this. Author's note. You'll find that the prospect will almost certainly furnish you with information about the area that you probably didn't know, so your time will be well spent. Now, after you've milked them dry, here's what you say. Mr. or Mrs. XYZ, you've been incredibly helpful. Thank you so much. I'll be in this area quite a bit from here on in, especially now you've been so kind. I do hope you find a buyer for your beautiful home. In case you don't, can I leave a card with you? Now what can they say? They're going to say, of course. Then you say, and here's a little guide on the best practices for selling your house. Now, at this point, you go in with the close. You can either say, I do get inquiries from buyers, or I do have buyers, but don't lie here. If you don't have buyers, don't say you do. Then you continue, so if I can be of any more help, just call me. Now that's the end. Now do not ask for the listing. Why? Because that's what the homeowner is expecting. I guarantee if you have properly engaged with that client, this will work. It might not work right off the bat, but with a little bit of practice in your presentation, you will get around 80% of those awkward listings using this one strategy. And certainly don't roll up on the doorstep with a buyer. That's extremely disrespectful and you would deserve a damn good slap. Now, here are a few more conversation ideas. Make nice noises about the property. Then logically, ask them why he's selling. Listen to the answer. If it's because her kids have grown up, ask her about her kids, what they do for a living, how old they are, etc., etc. If it's because he's changing jobs, ask him about his work history. Ask him or her how long they've lived there and what they've done to the property. They'll love that one. Ask her what the area was like when she moved there and what things have changed. Whatever your prospect says, ask stuff. My FSBO conversations are always 80% ending with a question mark. The more they tell you, the more you need to ask. Listen and don't talk. Ask, ask, ask. Remember SDFU? Hack number 4. Advertising and something the magazines don't want you to know. I did a very advanced course in real estate marketing and advertising from 2005 until 2007. Part of it was in Salt Lake City, Utah. It was at that training I learned this little trick, and here is a warning. Advertising professionals hate me for revealing this to you. Why? Because it will cut your advertising spend by literally thousands every year. That's why. This is going to be somewhat abridged in this report because the true subject matter, DRM, short for direct response marketing, would take just way too long to cover. Saying that, David Ogilvy lived from 1911 until 1999. He's universally recognized as the father of modern advertising and was the original madman. You know, like in the TV series? When everybody in the office smoked constantly, when the men smacked the women's behinds when they passed in the corridor, when lunch meant a sandwich and several cocktails. Despite all that, it was Ogilvy who spoke the immortal words, 99% of advertising doesn't sell much of anything. In our line of business, you almost certainly know that can be painfully true. When I was running our agency, the advertising costs were huge, especially in print media, and even more especially in those glossy magazines. When I opened my first real estate office, I was woefully inexperienced in advertising and marketing. So, what did I do? What all the other agents did. Take out advertising space in the local paper, in the glossy magazines, on billboards, same old, same old. Yep, I was woefully inexperienced and the adverts were woefully ineffective, let me tell you. But you must advertise, so how to? Look at the other agencies' ads and do something different. Something that will make your ad stand out. With the upsurge in internet advertising, one thing that's changed dramatically is the great bonus that we can now, if we so choose, track the effectiveness of our advertising. At the time of writing this report, Facebook even allows us to insert what they've termed a pixel into our ads that give us info into how any specific web page is performing. That little pixel trick can't happen with those eye-wateringly expensive full-colour ads that we feel obliged to place in the glossies, or can it? To be fair, the glossies can elevate the perception of an office as a quality realtor in the mind of a client. Furthermore, your listing clients certainly expect to see their home listed in its best light in these publications, so it's a cost that's not going to go away anytime soon. But there's something you can do that can at least help you to know whether that expensive magazine is being read or not, and whether your ad is catching the reader's eyes. This is something that neither the magazine nor your advertising agent will ever tell you, and they may even try to persuade you not to do this. Again, you've been warned. You bug your ad with what's called a tracking device. Sounds kind of 007, doesn't it? Now, if you're not techie, don't let the next few pages put you off. Just show this to whoever looks after your email and or website. This is very basic stuff and it's both easy and inexpensive to deploy. Plus, it's dead simple to do. Here's one I prepared earlier, as the TV chefs all say. Dear listener, at this point you will have to take a look at the downloaded version of this book to see the advert that I'm talking about, but I shall try to explain it nevertheless. In this example, all you need to do is to insert a text box instead of a photograph. Make the top line the name of the town or district you want to target. It's an attention grabber. Let's analyse this a little bit further and zoom in on that little text box. I've been doing this for so long now that for me it would be simply unimaginable not to include a tracker in my ads, but you might not quite understand the structure, and it's vitally important to get this right. The top line is simply the name of the town or district, as I said. Free for you is important because the word free is one of the 15 words used by copywriters to elicit an action. You is another attention getter. Special report is not the strongest hook, but it does imply that as a report, it's not an advert, but it's offering free information. Download implies that the reader will receive something they will then physically possess. That's always an attraction. Yourtownfree.com. This is very important. If you scroll back up to the mock-up, you'll see that this is designed to look as if this ad has been hijacked, and this rather incongruent block of text has been pasted into an otherwise pretty picture ad. So, if your town is called Springfield, then you want to get the domain name springfieldfree.com. If it's a district of a city in Los Angeles called Manhattan Beach, then you need to get manhattanbeachfree.com. If you're in the UK, in Manchester, and say your area is Trafford, then get traffordfree.com. You could also get yourtownfreereport.info. You want to carry this on by not having your company name in the text box, sometimes called the Johnson box after its inventor. It's in blue because internet users are accustomed to seeing the colour blue in links to click on. You also don't want your website mentioned in this text box. There's plenty of room on the page for that. Or yourtownfreereport.com or .info. Note, .com domains tend to be more expensive. For this kind of ad, a .info is perfectly acceptable. Your webmaster will get this from GoDaddy.com, about $10 or less, or whatever domain service they use, and then send them to a really simple one-page website where there's a brief synopsis of what the report contains. And here's the kicker. They have to input their name and email address to get it. Let's say 500 people ask for this report. That's 500 new leads for very little cost from an ad that you were going to run anyway. I call it money for nothing and your clicks for free, with apologies to Dire Straits. So where does the tracking device come in? Simple. Get the web people to include a drop-down with a list of the magazines or publications where you advertise. The reader has to select this and hey presto, your tracking device will tell you where the lead came from. You'll end the text box with limited supplies in red as a warning. Also use asterisks to make it stand out. Of course, supplies are not limited. It's a PDF, but hey, it's a little white fib, that's all. Now realistically, you can't do this in every ad you place. I used to do it in every magazine or publication maybe 4 times a year. It achieves 2 important things. 1, in our case, this little hack increased our email list of prospects by about 2,000 a year, and 2, it really helped us to narrow down which magazines were getting read and which were not, or rather, which magazine ads were actually pulling in business. I can only quote from my experience, but this hack reduced our ad spend by over 80% per year. Note on direct response. What is direct response advertising? Well, it is what it says on the can. It's advertising that's designed to get a direct response from the reader or viewer of the ad. It dates back to the late 1800s and it's come to the fore again due to the internet. Why? Because we're so overwhelmed with ads nowadays, an estimated 1,700 messages a day, that 21st century advertisers need to know whether their ads are being read more than ever. Direct response ads in the real estate business can be deadly effective, more especially for getting fresh buying and listing leads. And get this, it's the #1 guaranteed way to get more bang for your advertising buck than any other ad you might name, bar none. But there is a skill set involved that needs some study, and we're not going to go too deeply into it here. It would just take too long. You can get loads of info on it online. Just Google direct response copywriting, and you'll find thousands of pages all free. Hack number 5. Making strategic alliances with local lead generators. One thing that real estate sales departments consistently fail to recognize is the power of a cup of coffee or a snack. Property buyers, as soon as they enter a town or neighbourhood they're not familiar with, will tend to stop in at a local coffee shop or perhaps a snack at a sandwich bar, maybe even lunch at a local eatery. Now picture this in your head for a second. You've come to a new town you don't know. You don't know anyone who lives there. You're considering even buying a property and moving there with your family. It's a big decision, maybe even a life-changing one. Your mind is full of questions. And maybe, just maybe, you're a little reticent, distrusting even, of walking into the local real estate agent's office, which is why potential buyers seldom walk straight in through the door. They'll mull over the pictures in the storefront while sneakily glancing at the staff inside to try to ascertain whether they're nice or not. Come on, you must have seen them do that. Buyers will often partake of a coffee or a snack to get the feel of a neighbourhood or town. They may even ask the server or the maitre d' what the area is like, or even if they know a real estate agent. Stolen property. Right up front, this was not my idea. I stole it. I learned this about 25 years ago, by the way, in a small village where I was trying to get listings. The village was quite small, but it had become very exclusive, and there was a real buzz about the place because the supermodel Claudia Schiffer and the racing champion Michael Schumacher had both bought mega mansions nearby, and the prices were really on a huge upswing. As it turned out, I was too late. There was a local bar restaurant in the village, right in the centre, the owner of which had been astute enough to see the possibilities and had, to the villagers' total disgust, closed the place down, refitted it beautifully, and reopened it with the prices tripled. Naturally, the villagers angrily boycotted the place. Hello Magazine. Then Ms. Schiffer and her entourage hosted a birthday party in the restaurant. The paparazzi surrounded the place like packs of hyenas. Hello Magazine got the pictures, and the rest is history. But what the owner did was to make an exclusive deal with a competing real estate office and had two beautiful handmade glass and timber display cabinets installed, one in the reception area and one in a window facing onto the street. The agent filled them with high-end, high-priced villas all within about 10 miles of the restaurant. And he didn't charge a rent either, as I later found out. He worked a percentage deal with the agent. Not a huge amount, I think it was 0.5%, but on a $1 million villa, that was a very acceptable $5,000. He had it on a written contract too, which was virtually unbreakable, because when someone would buy after seeing the property in his restaurant, who would be the first person they would tell? The owner, or at least the maitre d', naturally. Of course, it doesn't have to be as sophisticated as a posh display cabinet. You could go into a restaurant and offer to have their menus redesigned on an annual basis with your office detailed as sponsor, or even have leaflets on display, or your in-house magazine. But the display cabinet idea is definitely, absolutely, positively, indubitably, simply the best, as Miss Tina Turner said. Why? Because you have control over it. You have the key, and every month you change the photos of the listings. You're not dependent on a server stapling your business cards onto the bill, or pushing your leaflet display boxes under the bar counter, or not displaying them at all. It's like having another classy office window display, but in a very relaxed and unthreatening atmosphere. It just works. The end. Norm MacLeod is a published author and real estate marketing consultant. P.S. If you enjoyed this book, and if you think we can assist you further, we offer a done-for-you, modular, video-based real estate office training system that reveals to both you and your staff just how to easily, simply, and rapidly put your office at the top of the heap as the recognised #1 real estate office in your area. In other words, we train your staff for you, from real estate newbies to hardcore seasoned professionals. Note, we're limited as to the number of real estate agents we can assist, and should you choose to request inclusion as an exclusive client in our Sell More Real Estate Inner Circle, we reserve the right to refuse your application should we already be assisting a real estate office within your area of business. Thanks for listening. See you soon. Bye.